Hickok 45 here. This video is going to be a little bit of a tribute to our boys in the trenches back in World War I. You wouldn't believe this. I almost didn't believe it, but my grandmother pulled out this old box, or my great-grandmother pulled out this old box. She said my great-grandfather sent her back during World War I. They'd been in the attic all these years. I want you to see what it is when I took the wrapper off of it. That gives you a little clue maybe. Well, when I opened it up, look what I found inside. Perfect condition. World War I vintage 1911. Is that special or what? I mean, how special is that? Actually, you know I'm kidding. This is the reintroduction, they call it reproduction, Colt does, of the 1911 that was made back during World War I. It's officially labeled the 1918 World War I model. So I thought maybe you would find it kind of interesting. Let me take it out of the box. And by the way, I wanted to show the box and of course use my lame humor in order to show that, but you see the box it comes in. Let me put that a little bit closer. What they did was they copied the exact box and the print on the box and everything in terms of the way it was shipped back in the day. So that's the way it was, you know, in the oily paper, the wax paper. Pretty neat, huh? Let's pull it out of there. Verify it's not loaded. So basically these are new. They've been making them for a few years, but it's I think there's a run of 4,000 of these. And again, this is the 1918 model of the 1911. It's you know, World War I vintage, and a beautiful, beautiful piece of 1911 for you 1911 lovers, and I'm one of you. It's really special. Some things about it, in case you didn't know, the bluing on it, because they were in such a rush to make these things, they suspended that fine bluing that they used, I think, up until World War I. And they used a kind of a black oxide, you know, but to me the black is cool as well. So it's kind of more of a black finish, or black bluing, if you will, than I guess the earlier models and models since then. It's very true. It's utterly faithful to the original. You know, it has the barrel is blue, the barrel hood, you notice, the hammer. You got your little hammer bite going there. The small beaver tail, the slide lock, the thumb safety. Let me turn it around here. Let's take a closer look at that. I'll try to hold it still, steady so that you can see it. Just a beautiful gun. The roll marks, the imprints are authentic. It basically, as I understand, other than the serial number, which has a WW1 at the end of the number, there's virtually no way to tell. Well, I'm sure anybody who really studies and collects these old guns could tell at a glance probably, but it's very, very authentic looking, and it's faithful to the original. So grips, the whole 9 yards. Long trigger, flat, smooth, mainspring housing. What else? Of course, the serrations. Now those funky angled serrations you see on some 1911, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people like those. And of course those great combat sights that are on these old guns that you almost can't see. What else about it? Beautiful gun. I've shot it a fair amount. It seems to be pretty reliable. I think I had one hang up last round in a magazine. Imagine that with a 1911 ever happening. The one negative is there is a recall on these crazy things. I have to send it back to the factory. I just learned that their suppliers of the thumb safety didn't use the correct metallurgy or something on a certain range of serial numbers. So I wanted to do this video before I do ship it off for 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully it's not longer than that. Even has the United States property there on the frame, if you can see that. United States property. Don't tell the ATF I have some United States property in my hand. So beautiful gun. If you like 1911s, this is sweet. The interesting thing about this is that I've shot a lot of 1911s and have held a lot of 1911s that have all the bells and whistles on them and the great beaver tails, just like my Ed Brown. But you know, this gun feels really good in the hand. partly because there is essentially no beaver tail extending. It just fits like a glove. You might get a little hammer bite, but it really feels good. Feels great. I like a flat mainspring housing. I like a long trigger. And those are a couple of things you notice first, I think, when you pick up a 1911, if those are features that you like in a 1911. What else about this? What came with it were a couple of original style mags, no marks, just blued, 7-round magazines, just like the originals. Of course, I have an old holster here I've had for a long time that I'm not. It's an old military holster. Not sure whether it's vintage World War I or World War II or when it was actually made. Couldn't find a date on it, but the old Warhorse looks pretty good in there, I'll have to say. Takes you right back to the trenches where none of us really wants to be, right? So that would not be exactly the typical IPSC holster, would it? So 1911, this is a true 1911. For those of you who maybe don't know, when the 1911 came out, this is kind of what they look like. This is the 1918, model. I'm not sure what changes were really made between 1911 and 1918. There's really, really minor. But this is what they looked like until around, I think, 1924 when they came up with the A1. Then there were a few changes. The beaver tail's a little longer. They put the raise, the hump on the mainspring housing, short trigger. Sights might have changed a little bit, not sure. But there are a few minor changes around 1924. But again, they're kind of like the Colt Peacemaker. They just haven't changed much since they came about and were invented. So let's pull the slide back. She's empty. Let's take a couple of shots with this old Warhorse. If I can find the sights, maybe I can hit a little bit. Now this is not going to be necessarily a speed shooting drill. I just want to shoot this old baby since we're taking a look at it. I'll use the magazines that came with it first. Now I know it's sacrilegious, but I have some other magazines, some stainless Chip McCormick and Wilson Combat magazines. They're loaded so that we can shoot a little bit more. Before I shoot it though, let me hold up the modern. This is a fairly new 1911 in stainless, of course, and the old gun just has not changed much. As I was saying, not a lot of changes. Let me put the slides down on both of them. For those of you who follow 1911s, you're aware of this already, but this one is a newer one, stainless, of course, being a major difference, and same gun. In fact, on the this is I think the 1991 model, as they call it, Series 80. They went back to a long trigger and a flat mainspring housing, so they really are a great deal like the originals in those cases. So put the stainless down. Let's take a couple of shots. Now these things have really kind of pathetic sights, as you might be able to see there, but if you can catch the sight in your eye, they'll still shoot pretty well. I won't throw those mags around. So this would have been the same gun, obviously issued to the doughboys, back in World War I. It's sweet to shoot. Get a little hammer bite, but not too bad. I'm gonna get ambitious with these sights and see if I can hit one of those plates. Ah, feels good. Let's even stretch it out long range. I can't put a handgun in my hands that I don't try at long range. Let's go for 80. What the heck? There we go. Whew. Sight's hard to find, that little front sight, especially on a black target. Try something yellow. Well, there we go. That's better. Let's shoot a couple more here. Woo. Fun. Works fine too. These are hand loads. These are factory equivalent 230 grain just ball ammo with a mixture of used brass. So if we have a malfunction, we'll blame it on the brass. Oh, nice old warhorse. Look at the carbon building up on the end of that slide. We've got one more magazine. Well, let's try a couple. I'm going to try one at the turkey over there, see if I can pop him. Woo. Huh. Oh, I knew he'd fall. All right, anyway, that's a piece of history. A real 1911 in terms of its configuration. It is fun to soup these up, of course. They fit like a glove, fit your hand like a glove. And you've seen what some people can do with these in speed shooting. If you've ever seen Rob Latham and some of those guys are unbelievable with a souped up 1911. But you know, these aren't bad even in this configuration. So anyway, a little bit of a tribute to the old boys back in World War I. This is a gun they had. They weren't exactly unarmed, were they? Pretty nice piece. See y'all later.